This is Educated Artistry. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Educated Artistry Podcast. I know it has been a hot minute since I put out an episode, and I hate doing that to you guys. I feel like I'm ghosting you. But this last month has been kind of insane, and it was just a moment where I needed to just take some time and focus on the things I could control. I got sick, and if you can probably hear in my voice, this was something too. Like when you get sick and you're recording, I'm like, I hate that sound of my voice. So I'm trying my best. I have coffee and water, so hopefully it's not too annoying and you guys can stick through. But I was sick for like 2 weeks and it's still hanging on. It's still this like congestion and this cough. So that was one part where I was like, okay, we're not going to be recording episodes for a few weeks. This is why it's so important to always have episodes batched, but it is what it is, okay? But last episode, we were about to have the Be My Lashentine event, and I was so freaking excited. So this week, I want to just come at you guys solo. I want to talk about the event, and I also want to give you some tips and everything for if you want to host an event like this in your area, because I do feel like it was something that was so great for building the community and getting other lash artists to know each other and meet in person, and also to introduce lash artists to local brands. We have a lot of amazing artists over here and brands in the Washington and Oregon area that are coming out with their own product lines. And as you guys know, as lash artists, there aren't many areas where you can actually go into a store and shop for supplies. A lot of things we have to do online. So that was another great part of it, was just getting people to connect and collaborate and network and getting artists introduced to these brands that could be their neighbor, right? Where they're like, oh my gosh, I need adhesive or I need lashes. And I am personally all about trying to support my local community first if I can, and especially when it comes to like saving money on shipping and all that fun stuff too, and getting things a lot faster. So I kind of just want to take you guys through what the event was like and give you some tips on how I found a venue, how I gathered sponsors, how I sold tickets, how I marketed it. This was my first event that I'd done on like this level. I'd done a really small like pop-up shop, holiday pop-up social at my lash studio like I think it was like 2 Christmases ago. And that was really great. And it was a good like kind of starter. That event was free. And I just literally set up a couple tables at my studio. And like, I think I had 2 or 3 other lash brands come in. And then we had my friend Jamie from Portland Tooth Fairy doing tooth gems. So we had like wine and snacks. It was kind of a free event that people could come shop. Once again, get to know local brands. So that was something that I done a couple years ago, but this was on like a whole different level of like signing contracts with venues and having to get insurance and like figuring all that stuff out. And I'm going to tell you guys too about what the rough estimate was for everything, whether we made money, whether we broke even, whether this cost me a shit ton of money. So let's get into it, because I think that this is something that you can do too. Everybody can do this in their community. And I think that you should, especially if you're wanting to stand out as a leader and an authority figure in your community, whether you are a lash trainer or a trainer of any kind, or you're trying to build out your studio with employees, or you're trying to build out your coaching business, whatever it is. If you want to become an authority figure, I think so many of us forget how valuable it is to actually create community within your local area. And I think when everything went so online, and social media is obviously a huge way to be able to reach new people, I think we do need to bring it back to community building. And that was something like local community building. And that was something for me for 2024. I was literally at the Lash Conference in October, and I was just like, gosh, I wish we had. I always feel so good. Every time I leave a conference or an event, I feel so inspired. I feel so driven, and I'm like, God, I want to feel this more often. Like, I love this feeling, and I love it so much. And I know that there are other people who love this and need this as well, but not everybody can go travel to California or to Arizona, where a lot of these conferences are, or Texas. this. And so I was like, you know what? Why can't we start on a smaller level? It doesn't have to be this huge conference, or even for you guys listening, you don't have to start out with an event like I did, right? And sell tickets and do all that. Like that can be a lot. You can start out with literally finding girls or other artists in your area and doing a happy hour night. There's a group that does that here too. And once a month you get together for happy hour and you can talk. That's not going to cost you anything besides whatever you're spending when you're there, and just get a time to collaborate and ask questions and network with each other. Like that alone is enough. And that's a great place for you to start. So when I was at the Lash conference, I kind of came up with this idea because I was like, oh my gosh, I want to like throw something for the community. I want to do something. And Valentine's Day was one that was like far enough away because I was like, we got the holidays and everything. Like I was like, it's like end of October. I'm like, I don't think I could pull off like a Christmas party at this point. Like I don't think it's going to happen. We're all so crazy during the holiday season and so busy. So I was like, you know what, Valentine's Day, that'll be great. It'll be a new year. It'll be something that I'll have plenty of time to plan for. And for me personally, I've never been a big Valentine's Day girly. Like whenever I've been in a relationship, like I don't really celebrate Valentine's Day. I'm like, no, you better get me flowers any other day of the year except for Valentine's Day. But I've always loved it for like sharing love for like my friends and my girlfriends. And I feel like it's more of like a Galentine's Day event for me anyway. So I was like, why don't we do a pink and red themed Galentine's Day, which is Lashentine's party, and give us an excuse to get dressed up and take cute pictures and like get to know each other. I love a theme, guys. I love a themed party. And I feel like as adults, we don't do them as often. And so I was like, you know what? We're doing a themed party. So that's kind of where the whole idea was born. And when I kind of started planning and getting everything figured out for this and how I was going to do it. So once again, I wanted to put a focus on highlighting women-owned businesses, even when it came to the vendors that I hired. So when I hired catering and the venue that I booked, I really wanted to put a focus on women-owned businesses. So that was something really important to me when I started looking for vendors that I wanted to bring on. And then I kind of had to start with the planning process. And this is what you're going to have to start with as well, because you're going to want to figure out like how many people, what's the budget? Are you going to sell tickets? Is this going to be free? Are you going to collaborate with somebody else on this? How much time is this going to take you to, get ready and to put out? And once again, I want to reiterate that like you do not have to start out with this elaborate of an event. You can start out with something small. You can start out with inviting, if you have a studio space, inviting people to your studio for like a Sunday like tea. I don't know, like you can do whatever you want. That's something really cute, that's a low cost, but is going to have really high impact and value on what you're wanting to build. So when we start with just like planning and prepping, I'm just going to kind of give you guys what my thought process was and how I did this. And feel free to steal any of my ideas, and feel free when you're watching this video to drop your own if you've been throwing in events, or if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments, especially if you're watching on YouTube. So the first thing was the purpose of the event. Who was it for and what can they expect? The Be My Lashentine event was created to bring my local lash community together. And once again, I said I loved a theme party and I loved Valentine's Day for like a hang with your girls moment. And I also wanted it to be, Valentine's Day is also about love. I wanted it to be a way that I could give back to my community and something that I could do for them to show love, because throughout the 8 years that I've been in the industry here, there have been so many amazing relationships and stories, and I've trained so many of these people in this community as well, that it was just a way for me to give back some love and hone back into that community vibe. I also plan on hosting more local events in the future. So this was something to bring awareness and have a fun party to where people are like, okay, this was worth it, and I want to do this more often, and tell their friends about it. I first started with a list of must-haves, and I think this is important, especially when it's going to come into your budgeting, because I was like, I want to put on this really cool event. I knew that I was going to be selling tickets, but I also was like, okay, Kayla, we're not trying to spend thousands of dollars. I wanted to stay within, like, my goal was to break even with tickets, like to bring in enough tickets that it covered the cost of everything, like not paying myself for the time or anything like that. My goal was just to break even. So the list of my must-haves, a venue space, because I knew I wanted it to be a larger event. I was hoping between, 30 to 50 people. And so I knew my space that I have now, like, was not going to do that. So a venue space was number one because I needed the space, obviously, to host that many people. Food, alcohol, and swag. Those were my four main things that I knew that I wanted for this event. Then I had a list of wants. So I had like my list of must haves where I was like, okay, this is how much these things are going to cost me. So I have my list of must haves. That way I could kind of budget out those main things that I knew that I wanted to bring in. And as more tickets sold, I was able to add on my list of wants, which wants was a DJ, a photo booth. I really wanted to bring on paid vendors to where, like for example, I was thinking about bringing on a nail artist where I actually paid them for their time. So then when the attendees came in, it wasn't anything that they had to pay additional for. It came with their ticket price. That was something that we didn't end up being able to do just with the budget, but it's something definitely in the future that I would love to be able to have. So then there's like fun little vendor things that you can do that's included in the event, and it's not something that's going to be like added on. So with finding a venue, I feel like I got so lucky with finding a venue, and the way it worked out, guys, like the universe is so weird. So I was getting my lashes done by one of my friends here, and she had thrown a similar, like a pink party event, I think the year prior, 2 years before that. And I was telling her about this party I wanted to do, and she's like, oh, we did this venue. And so she sent it to me, and I was like, oh my gosh, cool. I was like, this is great. It was 3 minutes away from my salon. I was like, that's freaking sweet too. So I email the owner, I go in, I do a tour, I'm asking all the questions and stuff. And, she's like, knows I'm a lash artist. And then I find out that she's also in the beauty industry. She does lashes and she does hair, which I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's freaking cool because I wanted to support other women owned businesses and like that you're also in the beauty industry. Like, how the heck did that even happen? That's so cool. And then she was like, so where's your salon at? And I was like, oh, it's KK Artistry. It's just like 3 minutes away. She's like, shut up. That's where I get my lashes done. And I'm like, what? So she gets her lashes done at my salon. I've never met her because I lease my bed on my off days. So she sees one of the artists that works on my bed on my off days. And I was just like, what the heck? That is such a small world. And that is just so crazy. So of course I was like this, and the space was perfect. It was like a really good size. It had potential to go over 50 people, but if we only had 30 to 50, it was still going to be great. It had 2 bathrooms in it. It had there was like a big bar table for the food. Like it was a really perfect spot. So I decided to book the venue. I decided to do a Sunday because that was cheaper hourly. Because with a lot of these venues, you're either paying for the whole day or you're paying like an hourly fee. And then, of course, there's deposits you have to do on top of that, and insurance and banquet permits, especially if you're wanting to have alcohol. But then you also have to get like event insurance as well. So those were a couple things that you had to add on to the price. So once I got the venue set, I kind of knew, okay, this is how much the venue is. This is where I need to like start ticket pricing in order to, recoup this money. So that's why I did a pre-sale. So that was really exciting for me for getting that venue booked and able to support another local business as well. The next thing was finding catering and beverages. So those are my 2 must-haves that I knew that I wanted to do. So I actually had a client, and she has a friend that does catering. This client throws like a lot of parties. And so she has a friend that does like these amazing like charcuterie boards or just like board spreads. Even if you want to do like a waffle bar and stuff, like she does these like beautiful spreads. And I was like, okay, a Valentine's party, like charcuterie is very on theme. So I'd reached out to her and I gotten a quote for, about the amount of people. That's also going to depend on, if you're hiring somebody, if you're doing it yourself. I knew I didn't have a lot of hands-on help. Yes, I probably could have put together and bought in all the things and put it together for a cheaper price, but for the amount of time that it would have taken me and all that, like it just wasn't, it was way more worth it for me personally to outsource that and hire somebody to do it. So that is what I did. And then I did decide there's a lot of laws, and this will depend if you want to sell alcohol. There's a lot of laws that come down when you like have an event space. At first, I kind of wanted to just hire a kind of a bar somebody to come in and bartend, and that it have be like a cash bar, maybe have like free champagne and stuff or free signature cocktails, but then people could have the option to purchase and have that be made. But that just got too complicated. So I ended up just doing, thankfully my sister and my friend came and helped serving drinks. We just got like rosé, champagne. We made 2 signature cocktails. One was like a coconut pineapple margarita, and then one was another like a pink drink with that was yummy and whatever. So we had 2 signature cocktails, champagne, rosé, and we had White Claws, and then I got like bubblies and like waters and stuff too. I feel like I had another option, but I cannot remember it now. So I kind of just got things like that, and it was all free for the attendees to indulge in. When it comes to swag bags, because that was another thing where I was like, I know I want swag and I want to give people, give them, I want their ticket to like what they're getting with their ticket to be worth a lot more than what the ticket price was. And I knew I wanted to partner with local brands as well. So I started with just posting on my Instagram story, talking about the event, saying, this is what I want to do. This is why. And I'm looking for sponsors. If you're interested, drop your email. And I gave people probably about like a week and a half or 2 weeks where I just talked about it consistently. And I gathered everybody's emails that were interested. That way I could send them all one group email, and it was going to be easy. And I wasn't going to have to send like a bunch of different emails to them. There was a couple local brands that I did reach out to because I wanted to make sure that if they wanted to be a part of this, especially since we're hanging out with other local artists, that this would be something that they could do. So once I gathered all the emails, I came up with 3 different sponsorship options. Now, this was something that actually Allie from Lash Anarchist, we went back and forth a lot because she's thrown a couple events and had sponsors. And I was just like, how do you get people to sponsor stuff? And like, what are your tips? And like, how do you do it? And so she gave me a ton of advice when it came to that. So I came up with 3 different options on how people could sponsor, because not everybody might have like a product line where they can sponsor and send multiple items for a swag bag. So, and maybe not everybody right now, even if they have a product line, they don't have the means to donate this many items, right? So I wanted to come up with a couple different options for people to be able to be a part of it. So the first one was the swag bag donation. So I let everybody know, and I sent this in the email where I was like, option 1, swag bag donations. I'm hoping for about 30 paid attendees, because the only people getting swag bags were paid tickets. If you were a sponsor, you got access into the event for free. You got access to literally everything except for getting a swag bag. So that was the first one. I let them know that I was, it was probably going to be around 30 items, but if it was more, I would definitely let them know as soon as possible. And if it was less, then I was going to give them the exact amount, because I didn't want anybody to donate more product than they needed to. Like, I know times can be a little bit hard sometimes, and it's like I never wanted to take more than I needed. So that was the first option. The second option was donating a giveaway item, because we had a table full of like amazing giveaway prizes that people could enter. So that was the second option. Once again, they would also get free access into the event, no swag bag, but they could enter into giveaways. I let them all do that. And then the third option was that you could do a promotion only. So with the swag bag option, I did tell them, if you also want to include a flyer that has like a discount code or a QR code or something like that, then you can. But the promotion only was just a flyer. So if they wanted to just give a flyer and they didn't either, maybe they wanted to give a discount code on their training product or their training course or something, but they didn't have like a physical product to donate 30 items, then they could pay me a promotional fee, which was going to be $100 or $150. I can't for sure remember, but that they could put that into the swag bag to be a part of it as promotional material. And that was something that Allie gave me the good idea of too, because she'd said that there've been a couple times where people would say, oh, I'll sponsor. And when you sponsor, you're usually agreeing to send a free product, a giveaway item, whatever it is. And that she said people would just send like discount codes. And it's like, okay, well, that doesn't work like that. So that's just kind of, you're getting free advertising for not really donating anything. So that was the third option that I came up with. So that way, if somebody didn't have physical product, or they wanted to be a part of the swag bag, but didn't want to, didn't have the means to donate that many items right now, that they could just offer a discount code to just get their brand out in front of those people and just give them the opportunity to come and buy from them. So those were the three things. And really, when it came to how I found sponsors, guys, like not only was it the Instagram, but this is important. Like I've built relationships with a lot of these brands where either I've sponsored things or donated courses or whatever to them or gone on their podcast or whatever it is. It comes down to a lot of relationship building and who you can ask for these things. And no, you know what? Like some people may say no, and that's okay because they may be able to be a part of it and in a different way in the future. So building relationships with other brands and other artists is super freaking important. And I felt extremely grateful for how many people were so excited to jump onto this event because I do feel like they believe that I'm going to put on a good event and it's coming from really good intentions and community building, and it's going to be worth it. Like the investment of them donating products is going to be worth it for them and for us and the attendees and everybody all around. So that was how I kind of worked with getting sponsors. And how much did it cost? That's like a big thing that I had a lot of people ask. So we broke even after everything because there's a lot of like I mentioned, there's some permits you have to get. Like when with the event venue, like I ended up getting like my deposit back. So, you know, once I got all of that done, we pretty much broke even. I may have paid like $200 to $300 out of pocket after everything, just because there, of course, there was like random shit that I ended up buying on Amazon that I probably missed when I was doing all my calculations to see. But we broke even. So the very first ticket pre-sale I did for $75. I used Eventbrite. I feel like it worked really good. It was easy. I did the option, I think it was like $9.99 for the event. There's a couple different options. I would say that's probably what you need. I think if you sell more than 25 tickets, then it starts costing, or maybe more than 10. So I think that was like $9.99. I did put the option to where the ticket buyer pays the fees because of course there's processing fees and everything with that kind of shit. So I added that on. It's just, it makes more sense for them to pay for that rather than me to absorb all of those fees because that would have been a lot of money. So I used Eventbrite to sell the tickets and we broke even. So I would say that it brought in about $2,500, and I would say that's about how much it cost me to put on the event. I would say about 25 to 28 all said and done. And then with the ticket sales, we brought in about 2,500. And so we did the pre-sale for $75, and then the full price was $99, but I did give the sponsors discount codes too that they could share with their audience for 15% off. And I also did do a group rate discount code. So if anybody wanted a group of 4 or more to come, then they would get a group rate discount code. So those were just kind of ways I was trying to get like more people in for a bigger quantity. But that is why I planned it out in a certain way to where I had my must-haves and then I had what I want. So that way, as tickets started selling, then I was able to get a DJ. I was able to hire out a photo booth company, which was freaking amazing. And they also had this beautiful flower wall, and it was like a digital photo booth. It was really, really cool. And it was another woman-owned business. So I was really excited to support. And right when you walked in, you saw this flower wall. The photo booth was really fun. They made like custom borders and like they put the Be My Lashentine logo on it. There was different options. That was really fun. And then to have people like sharing stuff too. So I want to give you guys some things I did a little that I think a lot of people liked, actually, that I got a lot of good feedback on, because it's always so awkward going to events. And I can't remember who gave me this advice. Oh my God, no, it was Kathy from Shop Lashco. She was like, you need to have an icebreaker because it's so awkward when you go into these places and you're like, I know you on Instagram, but not in real life. And like, you feel kind of awkward and you're like, I don't know what to do. What do I say? So when guests came in on Eventbrite, you can like check them in, you can scan their little ticket or whatever. And I had made bingo cards for that were like lash related. So they said, you know, whether you prefer black adhesive or clear adhesive, find somebody with the same birthday month as you, find somebody who's in their first year of business, find somebody who is an educator. There was a bunch of different things like that that were all lash related. So you got the bingo card. You also got 5 raffle tickets that came with your ticket price that you could enter into the giveaways. And then I got little heart glasses for everybody, pink pens. And then so you'd have those 5 raffle tickets that you could enter into the giveaways. But with the bingo cards, not only was it a way to do an icebreaker, it was also a way to you could earn more raffle tickets. So if you blacked out your board, you got 10 tickets, which I'm pretty sure by the end everybody did. Like that was the goal. So that way people could like mix and mingle. And there was one girl where it was like somebody that has a lash tattoo, and there was one girl that had one at the party. I was like, somebody's got to. So then everyone's like, where's the girl with the lash tattoo? And it was just like a fun way for people to break the ice and get to intermingle with each other. And then they earned more raffle tickets. So we had the giveaway prizes. And then I announced all the giveaway prizes about like, the event started at 6:30 and I announced them at like 8:30, I believe. So a couple hours into the event, we gave out all the giveaway prizes, did the swag bags. It was really, really freaking fun. And I think that was just like a really cool way to get people just to intermingle. And I loved watching people start like taking photos together and getting to meet each other and, you know, swapping Instagram pages and stuff like that. And I think that was really great. Something that I did for myself as like promotion for, you know, this whole thing was on the bingo card. I put like tag KK Artistry and a selfie. So that way I was having all these guests like tagging me and stuff that I could reshare, which was really great. Just like exposure for me in general too. But that was just a little like thing that you can add on. So definitely you need to have some sort of icebreaker event or some sort of icebreaker going on to just get people talking and communicating with each other. How did I get people to purchase or show up? I feel like I just like talked about it a lot. I talked about the why behind it. I talked about once I got sponsors and stuff locked in, I did make like um Instagram posts to where the sponsors were tagged. I gave them promotional material to show that they were sponsoring the event so they could share it on their pages. They also got the discount code so they could share. But a lot of it was just talking to people and continually sharing it. When we got new items for the swag bags, I would always ask people, and this is like a big tip too when it comes to swag bags, is you want to ask people what they're donating, because I didn't want everybody to donate like CC Curl Point oh 0.07 trays and like that's all that's in the swag bag. So that was part of the criteria, was asking them what they're going to donate and what the value of that item is. So we did have a decent amount of lash trays, but they were all different diameters. And I had like some glitter lashes. We had some pre-made fans in there. And then we had like 0.03s, 0.05s, 0.07s. So we had like a different diameter, which was really cool. Because not only did I want the attendees to have a variety, I wanted the brands to be able to stand out on their own as well and not just have like the same product throughout there. So that's a big tip, is to ask people what they're donating, what the value is. That way, as well as you're promoting your event, you can say like, our swag bags are valued at $250, right? And that's about what ours got to. So it's like you're spending $99 for a ticket, but you're getting just alone in product $250 value. I feel like that's a really good selling point for a lot of people. And then we had over $3,000 in value of prizes too that you could potentially win. So that was something really cool. And that I would say for your event, just to make sure that you're getting that, because I did have some people that, I get why people want to donate lash trays, because if you get somebody that really likes your lashes, they're going to continue to purchase from you. And I was just like, I get it, but I was like, I can't have everybody donating lash trays. So that was kind of like a first come, first serve. And there were some people I had to say like they wanted to donate lash trays. And I was like, hey, like, I love this, but like I actually can't take any more lash trays, because I didn't want to take away from any of the other brands and not like gyp the attendees as well. So I feel like just talking about it, I talked about it on the podcast a couple times. I did start selling tickets about 2 months before, which is probably what I would change. But I felt like for my first event, I was really nervous when I'm putting down these like deposits and stuff for things and then being like, am I going to have enough time to sell tickets? I feel like I probably do like a month, maybe 6 weeks, maybe do a pre-sale at like 6 weeks, just to kind of give it a little bit less, because I feel like you want to keep like the hype up for the event and stuff. So I'd probably do a shorter time before then, but it's like, I don't think less than 30 days, because we had so many people traveling. We had people come from Medford, from Seattle area, from Salem. Like I was honestly blown away. Eugene, I was like, oh my God, you guys, like there was like the Oregon and Washington freaking lash artists like showed up. But I think the main thing that I would do differently is probably just giving it a shorter time frame when the event was actually going to be, just so we could like keep the hype up. I probably would have also done more like fun video promotional marketing, and definitely probably had more help. Like I think I wish I wasn't running around like on things as much as I was, and I could have been more present, which I feel like I tried really hard to be present, but there were certain things. I actually had 2 people that were supposed to help that canceled last minute. So I think that was probably part of it. I think otherwise I probably would have been fine. But I think that that's something is just like recruiting your friends and your family if you're going to do something like this, because we had the giveaway table with the swag bags, we had the bar, we had the food, we had the photo booth, which that was pretty self-sufficient. But there was a couple things where I'm like, I wish I would have just had like a couple more hands so I could have just been more present. But otherwise, it was such a fun event. And I'm so excited to throw the next one. And I want you guys, once again, any questions that you have, anything you want to add, if you've thrown an event, any advice that you have, please drop it in the comments, because I think this is something that more of us need to start doing. And it's just an amazing way that we can help elevate our local lash communities. There's always going to be more eyeballs than there are lash artists for us to work on. So this is just something really great. And I hope that you guys do this. Please let me know if you start planning your own event. And if you guys have any other questions, please drop them in the comments. But otherwise, we'll be back with our regular scheduled episodes. Hopefully my voice will be somewhat back. And I will see you next Wednesday for a new episode of Educated Artistry. Bye.